Cellular respiration is the process that breaks down chemical energy in the form of glucose to supply the body with the cellular energy it needs for all other life processes. Cellular respiration occurs in all living organisms, not just animals and humans. Cellular respiration begins with glycolysis. Glyco means sugar, and lysis means to break apart. So, glycolysis is the process where glucose is broken down. This process occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. There are two types of respiration that can occur after glycolysis: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic means with air or oxygen, so it occurs when oxygen is present. Anaerobic respiration means without air or oxygen, so it occurs when oxygen is absent. The two types of respiration are similar in that both aerobic and anaerobic respiration begin with glycolysis in the cytoplasm, and both aerobic and anaerobic respiration produce carbon dioxide and ATP. There are a couple of key differences between the two types of cellular respiration. Let's look at aerobic respiration first. After glycolysis, aerobic respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen in order to produce high amounts of cellular energy, also called ATP. Aerobic respiration occurs in the mitochondria of the cell, which is why some people call the mitochondria the powerhouse of the cell. Aerobic respiration requires glucose and oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water, and 36 ATP molecules. That's a lot of energy for our cells. It's represented by the equation shown. Humans and animals mostly perform aerobic respiration. But what if there is little to no oxygen present? How are plants, animals, and humans able to perform cellular respiration and get energy without using oxygen? When there is no oxygen present, this process is called anaerobic respiration, meaning without air or oxygen. It is also called fermentation. Anaerobic respiration does not occur in the mitochondria like aerobic respiration. Instead, anaerobic respiration stays in the cytoplasm after glycolysis has occurred. Without oxygen, cells can still break down glucose to get energy and produce carbon dioxide, but anaerobic respiration produces only a small amount of energy, 2 ATP molecules, compared to aerobic respiration, which produces 36 ATP molecules. While you mostly perform aerobic respiration in the presence of oxygen, sometimes your muscle cells can perform anaerobic respiration. Have you ever wondered why your muscles start to burn when you're running or performing hard exercise for a long period of time? Your muscles aren't getting enough oxygen, causing them to perform a type of anaerobic respiration called lactic acid fermentation. This particular type of anaerobic respiration causes your body to break down glucose without oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, 2 ATP molecules, but it also produces something called lactic acid. When your muscles are not receiving enough oxygen, the lactic acid produced by your muscle cells is what causes your muscles to feel tired or start to burn when exercising for a long time. There are some very small organisms, such as bacteria and yeast, that rely on anaerobic process very similar to lactic acid fermentation. This process is called alcoholic fermentation. Let's take yeast, for example. Yeast is an organism that performs alcoholic fermentation, meaning yeast breaks down glucose without using oxygen and produces alcohol instead of lactic acid while still producing carbon dioxide and 2 ATP molecules. The equation for alcoholic fermentation looks like this. The equation is very similar to lactic acid fermentation, except it produces alcohol instead of lactic acid. So now it's time for a quick review of everything we've learned today. Cellular respiration is the chemical process that breaks down glucose into cellular energy in the form of ATP. Cellular respiration begins with glycolysis, where glucose is broken down in the cytoplasm of the cell. The type of respiration that occurs after glycolysis just depends on whether oxygen is present or not.